We're excited to bring on our colleagues from our customer success team today, Laryssa, Senior Project Manager, and Natalie, one of our project managers, or I like to refer to them as the Dream Team. So welcome, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited.
Our project managers specialize in providing really unparalleled support and guidance to our Giving Day partners throughout their entire planning process. They assist our partners in setting goals, implementing ideas and strategies, reaching new milestones, and are always there to cheer them on every step of the way.
Throughout our interview today, we're going to be discussing working directly with your project managers while you work at GiveGab and how we foster year-over-year growth for your event so that you can help to really learn and connect with leaders in the Giving Day space. With that, we want to get started and dive in and start talking to our special guest. So first, I'm going to have you all introduce yourselves and just briefly explain what it is you do in your current role at GiveGab. So Laryssa, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. First, I feel honored to be called a special guest. That's the first time I've been called that. So as Molly mentioned, I'm a senior project manager. And so I've had the privilege of working with a ton of different Giving Day partners who have worked with GiveGab. In particular, I focus on our civic Giving Days. I still work with a variety of Giving Days. We have a lot of different partners. We have, higher ed and K through 12 partners. And then we have what we call our civic days, are events hosted by community foundations or United Ways or various community organizations who want to host an event for their nonprofits. And so I get to work with different partners to collect feedback, see how we can improve sort of the civic space and stay, in the forefront of that. So it's fun that I get to focus a little bit more on that. And I have a lot of great partners who I've been able to work with over the years. So yeah, enough about me. Natalie, do you want to jump in?
Sure. So similar to what Laryssa does, but with more of just a focus on supporting our Giving Day partners, all of those project management responsibilities, but I focus on the higher ed and K-12 side of the house. I am fortunate enough to have a few civic Giving Days that I get to root along and be able to work with our nonprofits that are using the GiveGab platform to fundraise, but I primarily focus on working with those education-based Giving Day partners.
Awesome. And you guys never give yourself enough credit, because I always feel like when you partner with GiveGab, you're investing in an incredible platform that has so many capabilities and features that help you be successful. But to me, I feel like the bread and butter of what GiveGab is particularly great at is pairing you up with our project management team to really walk you through what it means to host a Giving Day and be that connector for strategy and be just a group of people that you can, throw crazy ideas at and strategize with. And that's the exciting part about having a project manager. Of course, they keep you on track and they help with the technology side of things, but to have those conversations because they work with a variety of partners and see so many other Giving Days throughout the year, it's just really exciting. So specifically, you've touched kind of at a high level what you do. What are some of the specific things that you offer to your Giving Day host as a partner through your current roles?
Yeah, I can start if that works. And Laryssa, you can fill in the gaps. I think if we just take a big step back and look at what project management and our role does for Giving Day partners, right? You go through the sales process, you decide that GiveGab is the platform for you to host your Giving Day. There's a handoff process where we get to meet our partners potentially, for the first time, if it's their very first time working with GiveGab. And then from there, we have hopefully a couple months leading up to the Giving Day. Sometimes it's a couple weeks if it's a really short kind of turnaround, but we use that time really to in that initial meeting to sit down with the partners to figure out what are their goals for the Giving Day, what is the strategy they may have used in the past, what are they hoping to do, and what are they kind of coming to the table with when it comes to, I think resources on the team. So, we have some partners where they sit down with us and there's 5 or 6 people that are dedicated to the Giving Day. And so they have a huge wealth of folks that can invest their time and their mental energy into putting a giving day together. And then we have some folks that come and it's just one person who this is the smallest little part of their job that they do throughout the regular working day. And so we have to figure out what's your capacity, what are things we're going to encourage you to maybe take advantage of when it comes to the platform, because we know that you have the bandwidth to really be able to dive in, learn what those features are, and then be able to really, enact them for your giving day. So I think that that's one part, right? We really just sit and we listen and we kind of take all the feedback of what their hopes and dreams are. And then we take a step back, we digest all that and decide, okay, this is the project roadmap that we're going to work on moving forward. Here are the goals that we would like to meet. Here's the timeline that we think, we'd encourage you to meet it by, to make sure that you're as the stress level of the Giving Day partner stays as low as possible. So that's one component of it. And then, as you mentioned earlier, there is this creative, fun, collaborative environment that I really love about being a project manager. So, we have this platform that continues to evolve, that continues to become better for partners. So that's exciting. But for the most part, because we work in it day to day, there's not a lot of change when it comes to the platform. But what the creative part is being able to decide and to help encourage our partners how to utilize it to best meet their goals. So, I might have, again, in that scenario, I have my Giving Day partner who is just one person. There's no time to be able to do anything. And it's their first year and they just want to stay as basic as possible. So we're just working on putting site copy onto the site. We want their images up and we're keeping everything super bare bones, versus the partners that come, it's 5 or 6 people. We have 5 or 6 months leading up to the Giving Day. They have all this capacity. They have this huge supporter base. And then we're encouraging them to, dive into peer-to-peer fundraising, look at matches and challenges, utilize all these other features that we have. So really, that first initial meeting really tells us a lot about, what's this relationship going to look like for this year? What are we going to work on this year? And then we kind of go from there. So it really does kind of fluctuate. I think we have to be really flexible depending on the partners and their needs and their capacity. And then we kind of build out what the rest of that relationship looks like for that year, depending on that initial conversation.
Mm-hmm. And I would add too, Natalie did a really good job of just explaining the project management process, but I think what we may get into this later too, but what also sets GiveGab apart is in those check-ins and in that entire process, we do take a really intentional approach in making sure that we're getting to know everybody on a very human level. Everybody feels super comfortable with us. Our check-ins are very personable. Sometimes they're very businessy because you just got to get some work done and that's fine. And you're on a little limited time frame, but with whatever time we have with the partner, we want to build that trust and we want them to have a really good time working with us and a good relationship with GiveGab and all of that. So there's kind of this, in the background, there's this component of sort of human connection too.
I don't even think I say in the background. I think that's the same, equal at the front. And at least that's our project management style, which you can probably gather from how Laryssa and I just talk in these meetings. But I prefer to become, friends with the people that I'm working with, because I just think if we're going to spend a couple months together working on a challenging project, that we might as well enjoy each other's company while we're doing it. So, we get to help you run a successful Giving Day, but then bonus, I get more friends that I get to interact with during my work day. So it's fun for an extrovert like me.
I think a lot of that comes from the way that you all place an importance on listening to the partner though, because I have to say in all capacities that I've ever worked with GiveGab, from the time that I was an intern helping with the Giving Day to running a Giving Day to now being at GiveGab and working specifically with the marketing team, it's you all listen to the personal side of people's life and you build those really close relationships so that people feel comfortable being transparent with their struggles, being excited and sharing in the joy of meeting your Giving Day goals. And then you're listening the entire time, you're capturing what people's goals are, you're helping them strategize around them. And then I think what people don't realize that you all do behind the scenes, which I just want to highlight, is everything that you learn throughout, your sort of capsule of time when you're really working closely with a partner, you take back to the internal team at GiveGab and you bring forward suggestions for growth on the platform, as far as how can we make the tech better? You bring, opportunities for better customer success. So how can we continue to serve our customers in a better way? Are there better support articles that we can be able to provide? How can we grow the nonprofit toolkit? How can we grow, the ambassador toolkit for, groups that really heavily use their ambassadors to really lift up the community word? And so you're always thinking behind the scenes beyond, beyond that kind of initial like forward facing conversation was with them. You're bringing so much back, which I think sometimes, might get lost or isn't the first thing that we talk about. But I would say you guys have such a forward facing role, but also such an internal role that's so important to the infrastructure and the success and growth of GiveGab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's 100% true. And sometimes it does feel like you're playing a bit of a game of telephone, right? Because we're in those check-ins with the partners and they want to know about XYZ. And I'm like, as much as I value, and I'm not diminishing my women's studies degree and my experience as a project manager, like I'm not behind the tech of it. So like, I can't answer some of those questions, right? Like I can't go and make this thing behave the way that you want it to. So we're sitting in those meetings, we're taking that feedback, we're advocating for our partners. And like you said, like we've built this level of trust. So when I tell my partner like, oh, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull that off, or like, that's a great suggestion, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. They know that it's not just someone from a business perspective saying no because I'm saying no. It's because like, I'm giving you the best answer and you can trust that like I'm doing my due diligence. And then like you said, we're ending those meetings, we're getting on Slack, I'm messaging my coworkers about it, I'm connecting with relationship management, or I'm talking to like the tech team, right? And I'm trying to advocate for what my partner needs. And so we're playing in the background, getting all these answers and then coming back in a check-in. And it's almost like, oh, I've decided this, but it's no, like we spent a decent amount of time, right, connecting with various different teams to be able to make sure you had a voice in a concern you might have had or something that you wanted to see change, and then coming back to you with an answer.
Well, the best feeling is when, your project manager comes back to you and is like, oh my gosh, hey, like, we're now going to offer this because like, we realized it's something that's really crucial to the success of your giving day and it would really benefit other partners. And then you feel that internal success of like, wow, like I'm a part of the change of the GiveGab platform too. And so like, as a partner, they get to take ownership in that too, because you're a great advocate, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Partner is such a great word for it because they're running this giving day. It's this amazing, huge event for their community or school, and our job is supporting them in that. So why does providing that level of support remain a priority for you? And can you talk a little bit about how it leads to greater Giving Day growth across our platform?
So I think there are a few reasons why. I think having that trusting relationship with a partner is really important and pretty foundational. So, something that we've always focused on, and it's really come from leadership from the top down from the beginning, was transparency with our partners. So always saying like, hey, I don't know the answer, or hey, our platform doesn't do this right now. Like this feedback is wonderful, or, I just don't know if this is ever something we're going to have, but we're going to talk to the tech team and let you know. And just, or if you make a mistake, we're all human, right? So if you as a project manager make a mistake, you say, hey, this is what happened. This is what we're going to do to fix it. And in all of those ways, I think we've really fostered a trusting relationship with all of our partners, which is like, first and foremost, we just want to be super transparent with everybody. And then, as you work with partners over time, like we've been really fortunate where we get to work with partners year over year. Sometimes you do switch just due to resourcing needs. We can't guarantee that you're always going to have the same project manager forever. But for the most part, you get to work with the same people year over year. And so they know your giving day inside and out. If your project manager worked with you from the beginning, maybe you had your first ever giving day with GiveGab. You didn't switch from another platform. You started with us from scratch and you get to work with us for a few years. We get to really help you grow. We know how you work. We know your communication style. We've built that trust with you that we talked about. Everything gets easier and quicker as you go on, right? And so we get the opportunity to help your giving day grow. And then in working with a variety of different partners and spending this time really getting to know them, make them feel comfortable, all that stuff that Natalie touched on really well. You learn so much from different partners just listening. We're just sponges for your giving day. And we remember a lot of little things, you'd be surprised. But, and in that, we become sort of a treasure trove of knowledge for partners and giving days. And as a project management team, we have this awesome hub of information. So, each project manager works with maybe a dozen giving days a year, whatever it might be, or more. And so think about all those giving days that we work with and just how that knowledge multiplies. And then you multiply that by how many project managers are on our team, and you just have such a wide breadth of experience of all different kinds of giving days.
Yeah, I think that's super well said. And the only thing that I would add too, which we might touch on later, but we think about GiveGab and like our teams, right, as a community. And like Laryssa said, like if I am hearing something from the giving days I work on that's going to benefit Laryssa, like I'm sharing that with her to make sure that all gets passed around. But I think we also have to like touch on the fact that our partners are also part of that community. And I think what's so great is that I don't know if it's just by luck that we attract just like the best humans to be able to work with, but like they're all so open and available to be able to like help each other too. We're not in a space where, I have X giving day that is super successful, and then I have Y giving day and they refuse to share secrets because they're worried that like their success will diminish someone else's. Like that's the least, that's not true. That's not what's happening. They're willing to share advice whenever they can with each other. Laryssa and I have partners that are located close to each other, right? I have the Great Give, and then didn't you have Fairfield, right? And so like our partner, no, I've just made that up. That was a lot. Someone does though, so we don't have to edit that out. We do have partners that are close to each other in Connecticut, and my partner like drove to go help do some trainings for another giving day in the local area. So like they're willing to work with each other. I also have a partner during a check-in that, like Laryssa said, part of our check-ins are we're talking business, right? We have to figure out things that are happening during that week, but also part of it is we're just talking about our personal lives because we have time to fill and we become friends with our partners. But, I've had check-ins before where we hit that lull where there's not a lot to talk about. And I say to my partner, I'm really stumped on this one thing with a different giving day I have. Would you be willing to like talk to me about it so I can have better advice to pass over? And they're so excited to be able to help answer a question that I can then go and give strategy advice to a different partner. I think we do help with strategy when we can, but ultimately we work on a tech platform, right? Like we're taking your strategy and we're putting it into the best features possible to make sure that you can use them to help your strategy. But like, I'm not a fundraising professional that's out there running giving days, right? But it's very helpful when we can kind of tap into those partner resources to then hop back into another check-in, talk to someone halfway across the country and say, this is what my partner said about that thing, and maybe that would help you. So I think that's one of the most fun parts, is just this sense of internal community in our work, but then also with those partners that we work with too.
And I will, Natalie, you were right, but it was 401 gives, not Fairfield.
The F sound really stuck with me.
Well, geography is hard anyway.
It is. I'm a project.
Yeah, that's not your job. You're not supposed to know that. So you're doing great anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we definitely see that in the numbers too, just how some of these statistics we see in the blog articles and other reports that we have for how much these giving days grow from year to year. And it's really a trend across all of them that by, year 2 or 3, you'll see a big spike in how much they've raised. And I think we can at least partially attribute that to all of that knowledge that you gain through that experience, and also listening to the other partners and what their giving days are doing.
Mm-hmm.
What are some goals that you've seen partners set and help them achieve navigating that through the platform? Do you have any cool stories about that?
Like I said, that kickoff meeting with those partners is really that opportunity to be, what does the giving day look like for you? If we are 5 months down the road, giving day is over, what's going to make you feel like you were successful? And then trying our best. I'm working from New York in my guest bedroom that is now an office. So there's only so much that's within my control, but my job is to really help them to utilize, like we said, those platform functionality components to be able to springboard that success on those goals. So, if we're talking about, if their goal is to, I guess, get like X amount of new donors for their giving day, right? So if we're talking like a new donor stat, a lot of times we're turning that into encouraging them to dive into the peer-to-peer fundraising functionality, because a great way to be able to reach new donors, to be able to spread the awareness of your giving day, and to have new touch points to folks that maybe are not being communicated with by those nonprofits or by your university, is to use peer-to-peer fundraising. So, I'm fundraising on behalf of Colgate University, and then I am sharing my page and my social media, and then, all of my friends see it, and then they decide to give. So I'm bringing in new donors. So that's just one of those ways where, if new donors was their goal, okay, then peer-to-peer functionality maybe is something that we would encourage them to do.
Yeah, Natalie, it was good you gave me some time to noodle, because as you were going, they just kept coming in my brain. So speaking of peer-to-peer, actually, one partner in particular who I worked with, Give Local 757. So they switched from Civicor, now Neon, sorry, to GiveGab in 2019. All the years are a blur, but a couple years ago. And so transitioning to a new platform in the first year already is a difficult task, right? And she handled it beautifully, but like nonprofits are getting used to a new platform. You're not sure what to expect. Your duties are different because GiveGab takes care of a huge part of the support, right? And so there's just like differences in how you kind of go about your giving day. So, but when she came on to GiveGab, her goal was to cross the $1 million threshold. Like they've been working towards this. They've been so close every year and just haven't gotten to it. And she said what she was really excited about was our peer-to-peer fundraising feature. And we thought that, this is going to be that tool that could really get us past that threshold if we really focus on it. So not only was she transitioning nonprofits over to a new platform and figuring all that out, she said, hey, we're going to work on peer-to-peer fundraising and really spend a lot of time getting our nonprofits trained up on that. And that really was the key to her success. And they crossed that threshold and they've grown every year since. And so, just letting us know, hey, this is my goal. This is something we couldn't really use. Do you think this is going to work for us? And we focused some of our webinars on peer-to-peer fundraising. We spent more time communicating about that and just had that knowledge going into it. So we were able to use that feature to really help them kind of cross that goal.
Yeah. And I think I know that we're really diving into this question. Maybe you're like, whoa, pull back. It was just a simple question. But I was just also thought it was worth touching on, sometimes it's not always just a platform feature that we are encouraging them to do. I think something else, like we've touched on in different ways, but like just this different kind of knowledge that your project manager brings, right? So like if our giving day partner comes to us with, they have a specific dollar amount that they want their giving day to raise, their community-based civic giving day, if we track all that back, like we can't raise money unless all of your organizations are donatable. So we're walking them through the process of, how do you onboard your nonprofits? What is the donatability verification process between, with GiveGab and Stripe? So like that's step one. How do we utilize maybe the donation levels on the front-facing profiles to encourage donors to give larger? How do we use our data from last year to inform what those donation amounts should be? Because we want to make sure that we're encouraging donors to give within the capacity that we've seen them, give in the past. So it's not always just like, hey, use this feature, it's going to be successful. Like there are so many little decisions that like sometimes our partners don't even know that we're making and pushing them towards, but it's like, you can't raise $1 million if your nonprofits aren't donatable on the platform. So there's just so much that comes into that. And, like I said, like that's getting them verified, but also in our webinars and our trainings, we're talking about how do you set a goal? What's an achievable goal? How do you use donation levels to encourage that? So there's so much going on and kind of threading into that project management process that isn't always just like use this one feature. It's like, oh, let's have this series of conversations to get us closer to that end goal too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said.
I'm not 100% sure that like as the host version of myself in this podcast that I'm technically allowed to answer the question, but I'm going to. So who says that you can't do this? Like
breaking the wall. Come over. Come on our time.
Yeah, this is what podcasting is all about. So I would say that one of my favorite things ever is like when I hear other Giving Day hosts come with their goals and their problems to solve, particularly like around the Giving Day Leaders Forum time, I always hear like the big ones, obviously, like, oh, we want to attract new donors, oh, we want to raise more dollars. But then I always love like the really unique goals that are like, oh, like we're just really excited about like how we build more community engagement. How do we build sustainability for our Giving Day? And I think like those are really neat goals that also like your team is really equipped to help you think about. And so like whenever our partners talk about like, oh, we need to build sustainability for the Giving Day, like we need to offset the cost of the Giving Days so that like we can continue to manage it into the future. And we have platform resources that allow you to tip the host and allow you to like support the host organization and lift up important funds, particularly in the higher ed space. Like it's important for them to lift up an annual fund during their Giving Day, that sort of thing. So I think that that's really exciting. And when we have partners that come to us like, well, we just really want to build community engagement, we're not necessarily worried about our total dollars raised number. I think some of the other neat things that you all have been able to suggest, like in the higher ed spaces, well, if you put like a gift heat map on your profile, you can then begin to see like how alumni who have moved away from their particular university or school, that might have been located in Kentucky, but now they're in, Seattle, like you get to see as your day goes on, like this entire map of the US just light up and show like that there are alumni connections beyond the city of a physical location. And in the civic space, like how can you really engage business fundraisers to build community engagement and to reach an entirely new audience? So I think that there are kind of the standard goals that we hear all the time, but then there are these really unique goals that as some of our Giving Days grow and they mature, they come to our team with unique ideas. And that's where that partner network becomes really vital, because you can connect them with somebody else who's maybe already dealt with that problem or who's brainstorming on how to reach that goal.
Yeah, you can hop as the answer, a special guest. You can be a special guest whenever you want, because that's a good answer.
I know. You have really good perspective.
Yeah.
You've done it all, really.
Well, I like to listen. And I think like even, people are like, oh, well, like what's the role of like each individual team across GiveGab? And we've already talked about it. Like, while we all might live in different spaces and work out of our guest bedrooms or our basement offices or our kitchens, like we're all in constant communication with each other because it makes us better at sales. It makes us better at relationship management. It makes us better at project management. It makes us better at marketing. It makes us better at building the technology around the GiveGab platform. And that's what's exciting.
Moving on to a question that I think is really going to be interesting to hear from both of you. The Giving Day Leaders Network has been this incredible tool that allows our partners to connect and learn from one another. Could you just explain a little more about how that network works?
Definitely. I'll jump in here. But so this is something that I think from leadership and everybody who's been involved we spend a lot of time really thinking about how we can grow our community of Giving Day leaders. And we place a really huge importance on the Giving Day Leaders Forum in July. And then we do work on different touch points throughout the year, which I'll get into. But for listeners who don't know about the Leaders Forum, we have this yearly sort of conference, if you will, where partners are invited to come and we do a few different presentations. So we do surveys throughout the year on what do partners want to hear about, what's kind of relevant right now, what's the biggest challenge that you all are facing, and we we'll ask other partners who have done these really well to come and present. So it's a really cool spotlight opportunity for partners to kind of show off, right? They can say, hey, I did this really well. I'm going to present to this whole group of partners who, really want to learn about this. And we do separate it by civic and higher ed so that we can focus on the various verticals just because their needs are a bit different, right? And so we, really plan our presentations around that. We do also offer a really fun data presentation where we look at all of the data for all of our giving days and look at trends in the different verticals, and we present it to you all and to all of our partners. And so they can see, maybe where they stack up, if maybe there's a different goal or they need to sort of shift expectations on something, spend a little more time focusing on something else, or maybe if it's a confidence booster, they're not thinking they're doing really well in an area, and then they see they're sort of leading the group in this, and they're like, oh wow, like I'm doing this really well, this is great. And so all of our presentations and content there are really fun. And we also slot a lot of time for networking and fun and for people to connect with each other. I think what we do throughout the year with our partners and the relationships we build with them, and we even connect them throughout the year. We'll sometimes say, if a partner has a question and wants to learn how to do something, or we'll connect them with a partner and introduce them to somebody who's done this successfully. So throughout the year, there are kind of these little bite-sized connections we make. And then at the Giving Day Leaders Forum, they get to meet those people, which is really fun. And so we do really focus on the relationships, or helping to foster relationships between all the partners. And then throughout the year, we have a few different touch points. We do have a Facebook group for partners to use, so they can request to be in there, and then they can just pose a question for the group and crowdsource. So for example, we get a lot of questions about maybe for a civic giving day, like sponsorship levels. What kind of sponsorship levels should I set up for when I ask sponsors for different financial support? And, we know what we know from working on our giving days, but we aren't sponsorship experts. That's really your realm of, you need to build those relationships with those sponsors, what your capacity is and all that. So we'll say, hey, why don't you post that in the Facebook group, and they can ask it, and anyone can sort of chime in and make suggestions. Like Peter's chiming in right now in Molly's style, and he has things to say about sponsors.
Peter's he just loves giving days. Yeah. I mean, he
grown up with them.
Yeah. He has grown up with giving days, and he's the biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he loves to connect with partners too.
Mm-hmm.
He loves seeing all the questions come in on Facebook that are like, how do I make my giving day more equitable? Because that's a tough question. And there are other giving day leaders that are tackling that. And, it's neat too, to see our project managers sometimes chime in and tag a partner like, hey, didn't we have a conversation like this last year? Like, what did you do around it? It's just fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like Laryssa said, like, that's not always just Facebook. It could be something in a check-in where, my partner asked this, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm by any means the best resource to give you like my own personal opinion on it. Like, let me touch base with my other project manager friends and see if they have a partner that does this really well. And then, we of course ask permission to share contact information, but sometimes it's just something that quick where now they're connected, and then they don't need us at all because they're traveling to each other to help on giving days, or they're, now making phone calls throughout the year, trying to figure out, we're similar size, you're doing this thing. And it really is kind of fun to see not only our relationships grow with our partners, but then seeing their relationships grow together. I think that's, just such an intangible benefit of being part of the GiveGab community, is just like the community nature of it. And the fact that, everything from the employees to the people, to the partners, want to be able to help each other as best as we can, and knowing where our boundaries are with like, what am I a content expert on and what am I not? And when can I pass you to someone that's going to be able to give you a much better answer than I can?
Yeah. I think that's so cool. I know I've seen pictures of like other giving day hosts visiting other giving days, like, oh, we just like heard so much about it, we wanted to go and like be a fly on the wall. And I know some of our partners have like been a guest on a educational webinar to like teach about what their community has done and how they've built like really great donation profiles and stuff like that. It's neat because, like you said, I think Natalie, you said it earlier, like, it's not like it's some secret. They're trying to like hold all of their strategies to themselves. Like, they're excited to share them. And I think that's what makes the community of, Giving Day leaders so special at GiveGab.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up, you guys have talked a lot about your roles and hopefully inspired people that, maybe have been on the fence about hosting a giving day because they're like, how do I do it all myself? inspired them that it's possible with the help of your project managers and the network, and specifically Natalie, who just,
I'll do it all.
she's like, I got you, and we can do this together.
Mhm.
But do you have a specific favorite part of your job?
Like the best and worst question.
Right.
Like there's obviously, like, I think the obvious that we have to talk about is the fact that the day-to-day is different than like what we're doing in the grand scheme of life. I think grand scheme, like we're helping nonprofits raise money to continue their passion for social good, right? So I think that that's one thing that we can just say easily, that's a favorite. But then I think for me, just a very extroverted person, like I love the building relationships aspect. I become very close with a lot of my Giving Day partners who are open to having me as I'm always available, but it's if they're available to be my friend. So I think that's a huge part. And then probably the last is just, it's such a creative role that I really enjoy. I think, my career path has taken some really fun, adventurous turns. And then I found GiveGab, and it's just a Venn diagram of a lot of things that I enjoy, right? And I think every day gets to be new and fun and creative, and every giving day isn't the same. So even if I'm working on 8, 9, 10 during one season, they're not all going to be the same. I get to give creative solutions. You don't ever get bored. Sometimes you wish you were bored because you are so busy and there's so much going on, but it really is just a role where I feel like that creative part of my personality can really thrive.
I love that you said, like, try to put in scope, like how many giving days you might like be in charge of during a whole season, because our partners, it's so funny to hear them talk. They like don't even realize that you have another giving day. Right. They're like, wait, Natalie has 8 other giving days. I'm not her only partner. Like, how does she answer all those questions? And it's just incredible. Like, you're so good. You guys are just so good at what you do. And you pay such close attention to the needs, like emotionally, mentally, and strategically, the needs of our partners. Like, that's a great comfort and feeling that they have.
Right. Mm-hmm. Natalie just uses her magic Harry Potter wand and she gets it all done.
Not yet, but I feel like at least once, right? Is okay for a podcast. That's what the people come for.
Yeah. And I would add, I guess not add, I would just reinforce some of the things that Natalie said. Like, I think what drew us all to project management are probably the same things. Like, we're all extroverts in certain ways. We love connecting with people, and it's really fun because you do get to have deeper connections with partners. Like, I used to be in the chat bubble way back when I was on the customer success team, and it was super fun, but it was very transactional, right? You're like helping, I don't even know how many tickets you answered a day, but a lot. And, but then you get to work with partners when you go into project management, and you spend more one-on-one time and you get to know them. And, I've been very fortunate that a lot of my partners I've kept over the years. And so I know how they operate. I know, what they need without them even really asking. And a lot of them I've become friends with, just like Natalie. And we just have so much fun. I just didn't think that I would get to connect with different people throughout the country and have these people in my life. And I just feel super fortunate for that. And then the creative part too, it's really fun and challenging when somebody throws a question at you and you're just like, okay, what about this? All right, well, that didn't work, but what about in this case with this scenario? What if we do this? And it's a fun kind of path to go down and work with different people. So like Natalie said earlier, you go to the tech team and see, all right, what sort of things can we do to make this happen? Maybe you go to somebody else in the customer success team and say, okay, we couldn't quite address this from a technical aspect. We can't change anything in the platform, but all right, how can we focus on the education portion of it and, educate nonprofits or our partners, and so that they can, work around this limitation or this need or whatever it is. And so, and you get to work with all different kinds of people in that realm and learn how to communicate with them effectively. So just all around a lot of creativity and fun and challenges. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to end. You guys are just so wonderful.
No, I was like, I could talk about this all day.
No,
right? I know. I think, a lot of people obviously start looking for a Giving Day platform because of the technology, because they're trying to achieve large fundraising goals. But I think the true testament to GiveGab is they stay with us because of the relationships that they've built, and because the relationships that they've built continue to help progress the technology, and it grows with them so that they continue to be successful year over year. I mean, we know that like first year, you guys touched on it, giving days operate differently than our giving days that we've now had in our 10 years old. Right. And that's just a really cool thing to be a part of and to see all of you grow alongside the partners too. So I'm glad you guys came on and chatted to us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, and for people that are on the fence, come be with GiveGab, because I'm looking for some more new friends. So you could be the next one.
Before we close, we would like to thank Laryssa and Natalie for joining us today. We are incredibly proud of the way that our project managers work so closely with our partners to help them achieve their fundraising success. And we look forward to hearing about all the support that you have received by working with one of GiveGab's project managers. If you're looking for more tools like this to take your digital fundraising to the next level, visit our resource library to stay up to date with our podcasts, webinars, downloadable content, and more at givegab.com.